"Come on, Truman. We're evacuating. We're getting the hell going out of here." They said the office down in Vancouver radio and said, "You come out of there and bring everybody with you." I said, "Hell, I'm not going." They said, "Well, bring Harry with you." And I said, "You tell them, by God, I'm not leaving."
We met Harry Truman a month before he died. Reporter John Guernsey and I were a little late to the party. The media had already turned Harry into a folk hero.
If I had anything to do with that goddamn mountain, I'd stopped it the other day. I'd have flew over there, that bomber, and I'd dropped a bomb right in the middle of that big crater.
On March 20th, 1980, Mount St. Helens began to awaken. A 4.2 earthquake got everyone's attention. By March 24th, as many as 20 small quakes per hour were recorded. The U.S. Geological Survey set up headquarters in Vancouver, Washington. Ash and gas samples indicated new magma was moving to the surface. We all learned terms like magma, which was lava that hadn't come to the surface yet, harmonic tremors, pyroclastic flows, the language of a catastrophe in the making. By the end of the month, a new crater opened, spewing ash across the white snow. The red zone was established, ground zero if the volcano erupted. Everyone inside it was evacuated. Loggers, Forest Service and fish hatchery employees. Harry Randall Truman refused. He was the great Northwestern archetype, independent, in love with nature. At 83, Truman had lived at the Mount St. Helens Lodge for 52 years. And he had a theory. No science, but experience. He believed the lodge was too far away from Mount St. Helens, over a mile, for him to be harmed by an eruption. It was surrounded by trees that would protect it. It was 7,000 feet lower than the steaming crater at the summit. He had been shook by worse earthquakes than these, and he'd lived through them. He was too far north, too far east, too low. "No damn way does that mountain have enough stuff to come my way," he said. We visited Truman in April. It was sunny, but snow still covered the ground. John Guernsey's job was easy. You didn't interview Harry, you listened to Harry. We got the full tour of the cluttered lodge. We met the 16 cats he called family. We were offered drinks, Coke and Shenley bourbon. I had one, John didn't. He checked his fan mail, fed the cats, made another drink. He posed in front of the volcano that was already deformed by the growing pressure under its north face. Tourists pulled to the side of the road. They wanted to meet the man they'd seen on TV. I was young. I thought the old guy was nuts. Now, 30 years later, remembering him through the photographs from that day, I see him differently. There was a picture of pictures, his public photo album on display in the lodge, a large portrait of his wife. Directly above it, one of a young Harry wearing a captain's hat, another of the Mount St. Helens Lodge, an electric beer sign, a generic painting of a duck flying over a mountain lake. Memories for all at the lodge to share. But in April of 1980, he was the only one there. He and the cats. Our story about Harry ran on April 18th, 1980. On May 18th, the north side of the volcano, bulging in the background of his portrait, exploded with a force compared to an atomic bomb. Spirit Lake and the Mount St. Helens Lodge were buried under 150 feet of volcanic debris. The trees he thought would protect him were blasted sideways. The distance from Mount St. Helens he thought too great to harm him was actually the thickest part of the landslide of lava, rock, and debris that would cover an area of 24 square miles. Truman was probably Mount St. Helens' biggest celebrity. Songs were written about him. Art Carney played him in a Hollywood docudrama. One could imagine him evacuating the lodge, moving to town, ending up somewhere to live out his days. displaced but alive? Or would he be? He was 83 years old and alive. Why would he want to be 84 and anywhere else?
Now, Harry, as I bow my head, I'll say a prayer for you. We all know what happened. You're the one who saw it through. As rivers, lakes, and valleys now are gone and torn apart, legends are made by men just following their heart. Now there's smoke up on the mountain. I can feel the trembling of the ground. Yes, there's smoke up on the mountain. The fire finally burned the mountain down. Yes, the fire burned old Harry's mountain down.